Today we're going to be making smothered pork chops. So let's get started. So for our smothered pork chops, we are going to need 6 pork chops. You can either use bone in or bone out. I'm using center cut pork chops because my local supermarket had a sale on the pork loin about a week ago, and I cut that up into center cut pork chops. So we're going to need 2 onions, some vegetable oil, some butter, flour, some chicken stock or chicken broth, Cajun seasoning, and salt and pepper to taste as we're going through our cooking process. So let's get started with the prep work. Alright, so the first thing we're going to do is dice up our 2 onions. Okay. Try not to make a mess here. Alright. This all done. Once we get our onions chopped up, then we'll move on to seasoning up our pork chop. Be careful and not try and cut off your fingers doing this process. I've done that a couple of times, cutting stuff up and not paying attention, the next thing you know, running around trying to find a band-aid. Alright, come on. Always get that one onion that just wants to fight. Here I am talking about trying not to make a mess, and that's exactly what I'm doing, is making a mess. Alright, just there. Alright, so we've got these done. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to be seasoning up our pork chops. So let me clean up and get ready for that. Alright, so we're going to need to season both sides of our pork chops with our Cajun seasoning. And you're probably going to need about 1 to 2 tablespoons of your seasoning. And you can use whichever seasoning blend you like. I tend to use Tony Chachere's. And we want to season these up real good. And then whatever we have left over, we're going to use to season our gravy once we get that started. And as always, remember, whenever you're working with raw meat, you need to make sure and wash and clean up everything once you're done, because you don't want to get sick or cross-contamination into other items if you're cooking something different. Alright, that's 2. Alright, so we've got our pork chops done. So let me get cleaned up, and then we'll get to searing up our pork chops and continue cooking. So back in a minute. So in a large heavy duty pot, we're going to heat up 1 to 2 tablespoons of cooking oil. Then we are going to take our pork chops and we are going to add those to the pan. And we are going to sear them for about 4 minutes per side. Get these all up in here. Alright. So we're going to let this cook for about 4 minutes per side. Then we're going to flip them over, and once they're done, we're going to pull them out, and then we'll add our onions and start cooking those down. So we'll be back in just a little bit. So our pork chops have been going about 4 minutes per side. So we're going to go ahead and remove those and set them to the side. Then we're going to add in our onions and we're going to cook those down. I'm going to get off all that stuff on the bottom. So we're going to cook these down for about 5 minutes and we'll be right back. So our onions have been going for about 5 minutes. And they've got a nice caramelized look to them. So we are going to now add in half a stick of butter. Gonna mix that up till it melts. Come on. Sinuses are running this morning for some reason. It's all melted up. Almost there. Alright, let that go. And we are going to add in about a 1/4 cup of flour to start. And yes, we are making a roux. And as always, you need to keep an eye on this, because if you're not paying attention to it, it's going to burn. And we don't want to burn our roux, because if we do that, we got to start over. So I'm going to get this to a nice brown, and we'll be back in just a few minutes. So be right back. Alright, so we've got our flour and everything all cooked down to a nice brown, light brown color. So now we are going to add in 1 cup of chicken stock. And mix that up. Be sure to scrape off everything off the bottom. So once that's incorporated, we're going to add in another cup. Let that cook for just a minute. one more cup. What we want to do is we're wanting to get this all incorporated. So that way there are no lumps. And you're going to use one whole container of the chicken stock or chicken broth, whichever you prefer. Okay. Turn that down a little bit. And now we're going to add in 1 tablespoon of our Cajun seasoning. Mix that up. Give it a taste, see if we need any salt and pepper added to it. Got that nice little kick in the back. So now we're going to add in ooh, pepper and the Cajun seasoning hit me. So we're going to go ahead and add the rest of our beef stock. I mean chicken stock, sorry. And now we're going to add in our pork chops. Oops, I am making a mess. And we are going to turn this to a medium low and cover and let it cook for 2 hours. So we're going to leave this alone and we'll be back in a little bit, or actually a few hours. So see you soon. So this has been going for about half hour, 45 minutes. So we're going to check it and make sure we don't need to add in any extra liquid. Oops, so everything looks good. So we'll let this continue cooking and we'll be back in a little while, probably about another hour and a half, and we'll be ready to eat. So see you soon. So this has been going for a little over 2 hours. So let's give it a check. All right, everything looks good. Our pork chops are literally starting to fall apart. So these are done. So we're going to go ahead and turn this off. And we're going to serve this up with some rice. And we'll be right back. All right, so everything's plated up and ready to go. So we're going to sit down and have some lunch of rice with smothered pork chops. So I hope you enjoyed the video. Remember, like, share, and subscribe. And also remember to visit my webpage at fatboycooking.com. And until next time, enjoy.